Hello and welcome to MKB Life Coach, It's Okay to Be Okay podcast. I'm sorry it's been a delay of coming back to you, but life just seems to have been very busy lately. Over the following months, I'm looking to speak to people that have had life-changing experiences through either mental health, life changes, and want to share their stories with others. So if you'd like to do this, please drop me a message on info@mkblifecoach.com or on any of my social media platforms. Also, if you'd like to leave comments or message me about today's conversation, I would love to hear from you. Thank you. Right, and welcome to today's podcast, and I've got a lovely conversation now, which some viewers may find it quite difficult, but I think it's going to be extremely useful for a lot of people too. So I'm going to be talking to Kate. So Kate, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. And hello. And I know, obviously, sometimes what you're going to talk to us about can be hurtful for you and others, because others are going to probably be going through what you're going to talk about. But I'm just thankful that you've come on, because I'm sure it's going to help other people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about my situation.
You're very welcome. So do you want to just tell us, start where at the beginning, and just we'll chat and we'll go through it.
The beginning of my mental health struggles, they started when my son was born, who is now a young man of 22 years of age. So that gives some kind of indication of how long this has been going on for, and sort of in the breakdown of my marriage, because my husband at the time couldn't understand why I wasn't this happy, fluffy, fun-loving person that I was before I had my son.
Right.
Didn't understand my depression. I was told, oh, I thought you wanted a child, so why are you behaving like this? So the misunderstanding and judgment of my mental health started immediately, the day I began to suffer with it. I didn't speak out about it all those years ago because I was fearful of my son being taken away from me.
Okay.
Because of the stigma of,
yeah,
not look after my son. It's crazy. I was told that I'd probably be sectioned if I did speak out about it. And so that's where I sort of started bottling things up, and the fake smile come on. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. And that's been going on literally for the past 2 years.
Wow. So you didn't seek any, nobody picked up on, when you had to, because you see obviously midwives and checkups and things like that, and nobody picked up on how you were feeling or said anything to you all that time ago?
No, put on the pretending is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That if I'm really struggling, all I ever wanted in my life, I wanted, I'm not interested in, never have been, never will be, materialistic things. All I ever wanted was to be married with children.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted. I think holidays, cars, social status, anything. I just wanted to be married. And even on the day I got married, the vicar said in the vows that he said all Kate has ever wanted is to be married with children.
Wow.
So I felt immediately like, I thought, this is all I've ever wanted. So why isn't it as glorious as it should be? So I didn't tell the midwife. The one person that I didn't tell, but she picked up on it.
Mm.
And then I eventually did, who sadly passed when my approach 3-year-old. She passed. She was the person who picked up on it.
Yeah.
Everyone else, including my then husband, was like mood for what this bubbly, amazing person. There were 3-course meal on the table when he got in from work. I wasn't married to the way it was before my son arrived. And just because of how I was feeling inside, and not obviously blaming my son because he's my entire world, always will be.
Yeah.
And he's the reason I am still here. It was because from the minute he was born, the thought of losing him, that just my mind went into total. I just completely changed as a person, and I know motherhood does that to you. And again, I felt guilty because it's all I ever wanted. But then within, them 3 years, obviously that caused the breakdown of the marriage. And then me and my son at the time was thrown out the house. Literally, my then husband packed mine and my son's belongings in bin bags, threw it into the front garden, and said, basically, go.
Wow.
Went to, wow. At the time, rung my mum. She said she didn't have space for me. My relationships with my family has been very, very strained because of my mental health. I've got a brother and 2 sisters. They haven't spoken to me since my bipolar diagnosis 9 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. They just said they couldn't cope with it. And I think I wonder if I'd have broken every bone in my body, if that would have been the same case, rather than just breaking my mind, you know. So see, with bipolar, because I suffer with bipolar, anxiety, OCD and clinical depression, which are all registered like diagnosis medical conditions, but you can't see it, those conditions. You can't see them.
No, that's what a lot of people say, isn't it? When you can't see the illness or anything, people don't understand how to treat you, which is very
because
sad.
You look okay.
Yeah.
You're walking, you're talking, you're going out, you're running a home maybe, you're holding down a job maybe. You know, people do not see. If you could have a little key and open like your mind like a little money box, and then people could see what's going on inside. But also my mum also for 9 years, right up until I fast forward to last January, we went out to move out of the home I was living in for 16 years because the landlady suddenly decided to sell up. That was another massive life change. I reached out to my mum, and now my mum is back in my life. But she also didn't have nothing to do. I didn't even get a text on my birthday or Christmas. I reached out to her every Mother's Day for Christmas, even Easter. I'd send her some tulips because she loves tulips. Got nothing back. So I haven't ever had that family support network around me. I've always relied on my son. Well, not really, that's probably somewhere, but my son has always been there until ago when he met his girlfriend. He moved us home just before I lost the house I was living in. So I've just sort of then started to spiral again. Sorry, I'll fast forward quite a lot. Sorry.
That's fine. No, don't worry. You say it doesn't matter at all. You just keep telling your story how you want to.
When my then husband did literally throw us out into the street, I was, in 2004, I was involved in a horrific car crash with my son. We were both passengers in a car that was involved in a car crash, and as a result of that, got some compensation, and I used the compensation money then to finance the house that we was living in for 16 years. Not like 16, but just to get our foot in the door, literally, so to speak.
Yeah.
I give the landlady at the time like a year's rent straight down, and I was able to furnish like the house and everything for me and my son. So that's something so horrific as that car crash. If it wasn't for that, I don't know really what me and my son would have been doing for those 16 years that we lived in this in the house. But obviously then got my foot in the door, literally. Landlady obviously bit my hand off, a year's rent straight away.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I just sort of like, it was just me and my son, and I just sort of built my own life, and I was proud of what I still am proud of what I did. I'm good, strong, independent lady, didn't need, had no partner. Well, didn't want a partner, no interest in having a partner. It was just me and my son. The only men I wanted in my life was my amazing son and all like the cats and dogs that I used to adopt and have around me. And I was a pet sitter. That career ended when I couldn't have the house anymore because now I'm in a flat. Obviously, I can't do my pet sitting. Fortunate enough, sometimes my friends let me look after their dogs when I'm on holiday, but it was just sort of every part of my life. Then I felt, I'm just back to square one again. I'm just back to square one. And and as a result of that, because when the car crash happened, I had OCD from that. Because I was thinking, if I do things a certain way, and I know it sounds really silly, but if I do things a certain way, then nothing bad will happen.
Yeah.
But then I had a cognitive behavioural therapy, which helped me massively. And things seem to be going along okay. And then I very sadly then a new, how can I put it, a new evil side of mental health just suddenly one day arrived in my life, which is self-harming. And I just self-harming just from my personal experience. Apologies, I'm trying not to get upset.
Please don't worry, Kate. If you want to take a breather at any time, please just let me know and we can just pause.
I am. I promise. Okay.
That's all right.
It's sort of like a release. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a release. And so when I'm able to give the opportunity to talk about it, it's just such a relief and a release.
Good.
But one day I don't even know what happened, and I just thought it's from my personal point of view, harm isn't about suicide or suicidal thoughts. If and again, I'll sort of trigger warning to anyone who's listening. It's not about if you cut yourself that you want to cut yourself so you end up taking it off. It's, for me, wasn't ever about that. It was about, I just need to have, it's going to sound so strange and I don't understand it, but the only way I can try and describe it is I just wanted to deal with another pain.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with all the other pain and distress I was going through. And I could control that. Yeah. I could control that level of pain. I couldn't control the other pain I was going through.
No.
And the other anxieties I was going through. I could control that.
Yeah.
And I was in charge of that. My bipolar wasn't in charge of me. My anxiety wasn't in charge of me. My depression wasn't in charge. I was in charge of that. And I know that it sounds silly, but
no, not at all.
It was a release. Even that was a release because my mind was on that then. Yeah. Rather than my mind had to be on that.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
And I hid that. I hid that well. Again, I mean, I think there's one person in my life that knows about this.
Yeah.
The self-harm. There's one person, and I recently turned 50, and I say this was years and years and years ago. And there's one person in my life that knows about that. And I am actually, it breaks my heart every day to look, and that one person is my son.
Yeah.
And I put him through that worry, but you can't control what those thoughts in your head, and you just can't explain it, but a strange, weird, probably terrible way at the time it helped me.
Yeah.
It actually helped me deal with what the other issues I was going through.
So, yes, you've taken, as you said earlier, you don't do this any longer. So how did you, what stopped you doing it? How did you come out of it, self-harming?
Honest answer, Maxine, is I don't know. I don't know. I think I tried to get help for my condition. I've always tried to, the amount of self-help books I've read, and the CBT that I've undertaken, and of waiting list I've put myself on for self-referral, for counselling, and so I've always tried.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to be too graphic with it. So one day I think I went a bit too far, and I scared myself, and I didn't want anyone finding out about it.
Right.
And I didn't want the wound becoming infected or something. And I thought, if I end up in hospital, they're going to know, and then my son will be taken away. Even though my son was obviously a lot older then, I was still panicking. So I think I just sort of scared myself out of it.
Yeah.
And I just I just slowly stopped. But then instead of self-harming, then my other sort of self-sabotage, I suppose, at the time, then I started drinking too much.
Right.
Instead of a glass of wine on a Saturday night watching the X Factor, turned into, and I haven't ever, well, again, my son was witness to this. I sound like an awful mum.
No, you don't at all, because I know you care for him dearly, and I know that, and and you've just been through a terrible time, and it's how to learn to deal with it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the coping mechanism. I've never smoked in my life. I'm the youngest of I'm the youngest of 4 children. Never smoked in my life. I've seen the damage it did. It took my dad.
Yeah.
He had 2 heart attacks, carried on smoking. Third one, he passed away, 54 years of age.
Cracky.
It took my mother-in-law, because she had lung and liver cancer. She'd go to, I shouldn't laugh, but she'd literally go to sleep with a cigarette in her mouth.
Oh my goodness.
Wake up. First thing she'd do when she woke up is literally light a cigarette. But before that, I've never had any interest in smoking, even drinking. Even when I was younger, I never used to really drink a lot. An occasional cider. Yeah. But then I remember one time I bought a bottle of wine, and instead of having the 1 glass or 2 glasses and saving the rest for next weekend, I remember I finished the bottle. And then I thought, oh, that's made me feel a little bit more carefree, and, and then obviously it wasn't making me feel carefree in the end. It was making my life horrific. And I just didn't recognise. But looking back now, I wish I could grab that person, shake them and say, what do you think you're doing? This isn't the way to be dealing with it. But at the time, that was the way I dealt with it. It was either that or self-harm. But drinking is self-harm.
It is.
Drinking too much is another form of self-harm.
Yeah, it is.
So I went from rather than have physically hurting myself to, again, just mentally hurting myself by drinking too much. And again, with that, I'm not, maybe then I was an alcoholic. Now I can now have a glass of wine at a meal, and I can have one glass. I can have one glass, or I can have a nice cold cider, like we've had this beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And I can stop at one cider.
Well done.
And all the issues I've been going through recently, even that I'm quite proud of myself that I haven't reached for a bottle. And I am sort of making progress, and my conversation, I don't want to come across as that. So I have gone from, and I hope coming across that way, from the depth of despair to sitting by the edge of a road thinking, I'm just going to walk in the road, to up until recently, obviously last week, being admitted to hospital, and I'm still here, and I'm doing a podcast a week on. So
exactly. I mean,
there is light in that dark tunnel.
There is. I think anybody listening to this as well, for what you've gone through, and for how long you've gone through this, and without hardly any support whatsoever, and to come this far and only now just start receiving the support that you should have had years and years ago. You've done absolutely amazing, because you've stopped everything yourself.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not like, you're an inspirational, amazing, strong woman who has had such, difficulties in life. So I sort of don't feel like I can't find the words I'm not sort of.
Please take this comment, because
I'm not as brave as you, but
you are
I am a little bit proud of how I've coming through the other side. Hopefully,
you are. There's no hope.
Dark tunnel.
Yeah, no hopeful about it. You are definitely coming through the other side, and you please take this because I really truly mean what you've gone through and how you've now you're coming out the other side, to go through that and to be strong enough to come and talk to me and hopefully help other people through this as well. Takes a hell of a lot of guts, and you're definitely going to come out the other side, because now there's other people listening as well and helping you, and look how far you've come without anybody's help, and just think how far you can go now that you're getting some support.
Now I'm getting that extra professional help, because that's the thing with mental health. It's people turn around to me, like my mum turned around to me when she first got back in touch last year, and she said, but what could I have done? She said, but what could I have done? And I said, well, you could have just given me a hug. Yeah. You could have been on the end of the phone. You could have just been there. Yeah. I know, nobody can help. So if you break your arm, people can say, well, I'll make you a meal because you've only got one arm, but the other one's in plaster, or, if you've got like a terrible, like a terminal illness, it's, and that's the other thing I did want to mention on the podcast, actually, Maxine, if you don't mind.
Of course not.
Is obviously also the last 12 months have been incredibly hard, and it was her anniversary yesterday. My best friend of 26 years, I knew her, Susan, her name was, and I just want to give her a little shout out to her in her memory tonight, because I know she would be so proud of me right now.
She would.
And she knew everything about my life as I did with hers.
Yeah.
She had breast cancer 8 years ago. She beat that, and then bone cancer sadly took her life a year ago yesterday. She was only in her early 50s. And that I did want to say that affected me massively, but she knew every part of my life for the last 26 years. And I know now, and perhaps I don't know if it's her on my shoulder tonight saying, yeah, you go and do that podcast. But she would be massive proud of me. And I just wanted to mention her in it tonight, if you don't mind, in her memory.
Of course not. I think she would be extremely proud. And she's giving you that support even after losing her from a year ago. You know that how proud, and so she's always with you. And I think,
yes,
and each step you take now going forward with your support that you're receiving and everything like that, that's something to keep in your mind as well, because you've battled everything else by yourself. So just think how far you can go now getting the support.
Yeah, it's because when Susan passed away, because even though she had terminal cancer, it was still very, very sudden.
Mm-hmm.
It was still very, very sudden, and she come out of the hospice, but she was sort of doing okay. And I spoke to her brother on the Tuesday, arranged to see her on the Thursday, but on the Tuesday evening and at 5:10, she died. So I didn't get a chance to say my goodbyes either. So that massively put me on the spiral.
Yeah.
And then but even that, when I tried to reach out and tell people how I was feeling, and I was sort of made to feel guilty by certain people saying, well, Susan isn't here. You know, you should be living your life. That I was told, because Susan isn't here, and, you know, she hasn't got the opportunity. So then I felt bad, because I thought, yeah, I should be living my life like happy and that, but
yeah,
mental health doesn't allow you to sometimes.
No, and also, but you are allowed to grieve as well, and people have to realise that. And I mean, grief, obviously, it affects everybody differently, and it takes everybody different times to get over different things. And with everything else you've got going on in your mind as well, and then losing Suzanne and having to go through that as well, people shouldn't stop that, because you should be able to talk about what you want to with your friends and your family.
So that's another thing. Whereas I know my mental health has declined the last year also, because I've felt as though I haven't been able to speak about Susan, because me and Susan, more so obviously when she got poorly and through the pandemic and everything, we was constantly FaceTiming each other. She'd call and she'd say, go on FaceTime. I feel like it's hitting me, like when you're in down. I couldn't see her because of cancer. So we'd literally, we'd have our tea at 6:30 every night together. Obviously we weren't together, but we'd go on FaceTime. And so 6:30 every night, we'd say, right, what are you having for tea? What doing this? And so even, it sounds silly, but even when, it doesn't sound silly, but when she passed away, every night, even before I did, I look at the clock at 6:30.
Yeah.
6:30. And I think, and it would just start, even if it was 15 minutes, and then we'd say, and then me and her had the same interest in certain programs.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'd even prop up the phone. We was watching the programs together, and then she'd say, right, I'm going to bed now. Is that okay? Well, okay. I'll message in the morning. Then in the morning, good morning, and it was constant messages. Even when I was in the shops, I think, Susan would like that, so I'd phone and say, this is in this shop. Shall I? During the COVID, so shall I send you this? And it was like we was constantly in each other's lives. So even not being able to message, I've got to admit, Maxine, I message every day.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, I can understand that. My mum still messages my daughter.
Oh.
And I know that happens, and it helps her. And that's why I've said to her, if it helps, it doesn't matter what you do as long as it helps you.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, and that's what you have to think of. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's what helps you. And it's not
when I watch
anybody.
a program, and because we used to both love Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
We was obsessed with Strictly. And now, I mean, it's like a little trigger for me. I keep seeing that Strictly starting next week. It's Susan's birthday next Wednesday as well.
Right.
She died a week before her birthday. And I'll keep seeing next Saturday Strictly. And I'm thinking, right, I'm not going to watch Strictly because Susan isn't here. But then I'm thinking, no, shit, and I'll probably send you loads of messages about it.
Yeah.
But it's even things like that, like TV programs. But I'm really, really going to try to not let it sort of trigger me. And
no, because
I've done.
And think of it as a different thing. So yeah, send her a message, and you can chat her way through to her about it and everything like that. Because it's not, you're not doing any damage or any harm, and it's helping you and
helping me.
Yeah, and just like when it comes on, and same with her birthday, have a celebration and have a drink for her birthday and things like that, because it's that helps you. And I think that is so important, to carry on doing things that you feel that you would like to keep doing, and as long as it's helping you, that is the thing to think of.
Then I feel like she's still around now, but I just did want to, I mean, I know I've got a bit off course there,
no,
I do apologise, but I did want to just like include her in it because, you know, she's been a part of my journey as well. Yeah. And but I am I don't think I think what's that saying? You have to reach rock bottom to claw your way back to the top. Yep. So I reached rock bottom last Tuesday when I basically admitted myself to hospital. Yep. And now I'm getting the support, and I've still for the last week without any thoughts of self-harm at all. And it's only when, I mean, I obviously seen your post on social media, but that was before what happened on the Tuesday with me being admitted to hospital. I did just want to maybe speak about it, and if I can help one person that's listening now to say, all I'll end with is just to say, when you are, you may be even surrounded by people, but you can still feel incredibly alone. Yeah. So no matter how alone you feel, no matter how desperate and like you think there is no way out or no hope in sight, take it from me, there is, and there always will be. Yeah. And I just hope that anyone is listening to say, I'm a real person, and you know, I've got, you know, I am who I am, and I just knew it. Hopefully, reach out just to one person. Say, I have been there, as you yourself, as Maxine, like a lot of your listeners, in the depths of darkness and feel like you're drowning. You feel like you're walking through mud, and you just think there's no point. There is a point. And if you've got amazing people around you, like you are just amazing, Maxine. Like you will get there. Yeah. You will get there. Don't give yourself a time limit either. No. Don't think, I've been feeling like this for X amount of days, weeks, months, years. Don't give yourself a time limit. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, day by day. Try not to listen to people who don't understand. That they're in a fortunate position. Hopefully they will never actually understand it because they'll never go through it. Yeah. So just think of your own journey, your own recovery, and your own well-being. That's absolutely fantastic, Kate. And I just want to say a huge, huge thank you. And I know this will help so many people. And I'm sorry I've gone over time. No, you are fine. I don't mind at all. I'm just thankful that you've come on, and so thankful for where you were to where you are now. It's just you've done remarkably well, and I know that this is now your recovery time, and you'll be getting more and more support
and you'll be feeling back to how you want to feel in no time at all. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity for speaking about it, and thank you for your all these months as well, because honestly, you've been such a help, more than you'll ever realise. So this opportunity to thank you as well.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I truly hope that you took something away from today's podcast and it has helped you. Don't forget, if you do need some support with what we've been talking about today, you can contact me for a free half-an-hour session to see if going forward it would be more valuable for you to have some life coaching. Again, please take care, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon.